All right, welcome back to Market Master Roland Attenborough. I'm the leading Gann scientific and analytical researcher. I own all William Gann's books and courses, and I apply his methods. So today we're talking about the 200 moving day average and what we can see. Let's just dive right in. So from this point, we're going to measure out how long it took to get below the yellow line, which is the 200 moving day average, and it says here that it's taken approximately 31 and 32 day weeks to get below that. And we're going to compare whether or not that type of thing is happening in our current cycle. So right now we have 32 weeks to get below, and then by around the 40th week we should be experiencing some type of little top, and then we should be moving into the lower region of 44, 43, 46 weeks here for lows, and as far as into 48 before another fake out at 52 weeks, and then the move down into 53 and 54 weeks where a low occurred. Let's go see if we are about to experience some of the same. So at this point, we're looking for something in the low and mid 30s here to apply our knowledge. Let's just move the chart a little bit here. I don't want to cover the last bear market, but with the square, let's have a look here. So we're going to just put our counter on here on our top, and we were looking out. We said we needed to go out about, I think it was 30 something weeks. Okay, so when we get below, there we go. We started to hit the 34th week, and therefore weakness did show up and occur, and it looks like around the 44th or 40th week we should have had a top or a similar top, right? This spike top to, we made a low and then a spike up into this period. So this is very similar. This is very similar, and this is the type of pattern recognition that we utilize in looking at markets. These are just one of the metrics. We have many tools. So this is looking like the market is repeating the same structure with these moving averages. And of course you can see now we have plunged underneath this 200 moving average, and we're just sitting with it. And the next maneuver will be a leg lower. And what would that look like when this moving average here, it looks like that's the 21 week moving average there. So from this crossing of these two moving averages, we want to know how long it takes to get to our low. And I think it looks to be, I don't know, about 6 or 8 weeks or something like that. Let's go take a look. Okay, so looks to be there is 5, 6, 7, and 8. So within that context here of, let's see, let's just get that on there better. Yeah, so 6 to 8 weeks from a crossing. So if we said, let's just make this bigger because we don't really need to look at the other chart too much more. So we're saying that if these two were to converge, if this blue line right here, which is the 21 week moving average, was to converge with our 50, which it looks like it's about to become conjunct and converge, it looks somewhere about here. So from this, let's just say this early September, mid or late September, late September, we would just maybe add 6 to 8 weeks. What would that bring us? Well, 6 weeks would bring us to November 2nd. And again, that is another cycle low that we had in 2022. 8 weeks would bring us now into the mid part of November, and I think that that will most likely end up being a bottom, and it looks like it could be in this 50 area if we were to run, say, a line down from here. If I populate this chart, it'll get really busy, and let's just see if it'll get too busy here. If we just populate it. Okay, so this blue line is the one that we're talking about that's connecting these lows, and it looks like it's showing somewhere around, again, this 57 and high 50 period. However, we have another set of lines that are lower, and they're connecting with another major top here, and it looks like we've been calling for the 40s and somewhere into the 30s and a possible 28. We've mentioned this, and as low as 23, but I don't think we're going to see a 23, but certainly anywhere from this 28 up to this 39, 40 area is very ripe for what I would consider an area where the asset is likely to hit. So looking now at what we're saying about this 200 moving average, let's just remove all this again because it's a little too busy for the eye. So what we're saying is the likelihood is the market, our Python program, which we've written in all the Gann language and methodologies are contained therein, does state we do have a median for around 50-51. However, it's got a thesis for a larger push down to the 39, 36, and as low as into about 29 to 31 was another logic that it was holding, just in case we do repeat some of the similar structures of drawdowns. Now, we expect in our drawdown to come down about 72% from our top, and that of course is absolutely subsequently fine with the work that we've been talking about for a move down. And if we were to move down into the 72% range, that would provide us with about a 35K Bitcoin, or the mid 30s. And we think that that is very likely impossible given the fact that the market is repeating a lot of the very similar attributes. And we just wanted to point this out to you because looking at this, I'm going to move the square off of the market. There you go, so you can see the last market. So from these points down to these tops here, I just wanted to show you quickly on the square where they line up mathematically, and you can take a look at that as well. So William Gann speaks about a death zone, and it starts here, right where the 7 is, right, and it continues to grow in this Pythagoras cube here. And every time we wrap around the 7, 21, and 43, and these numbers, well, from here is a death zone. So let's go have a look. Well, there's 20. We just had a fake out top, and then the market has a major rollover and moves down. And it moves down very aggressively to the 31st week, which is exactly 180 degrees from its position at the top. So you can see how these are mathematically connected. Let's move to the next major top where we could experience, and this one is showing us around the 40 market number area. So 40 is right here, and it lines up right across here, and just starting into our death zone, and our death zone starts right in here at 42, 43, right here. So here we can see that the market experienced another major move down with a fake out top, at 43, right? And then the market moved down yet again into the next few weeks after that. So you can see, right, 45, 46, right? Let's go have a look at it's just about at the end of it here at 48. It ends on this angle, and then we have a fake out top into 51 and 52, the next division of lines, right? See how this works? And then from there, as we moved across now, by 56 and 57, we had another fake out top. You see that? And then we completed the rest of the distribution, and the accumulation phase begins. So from here up to what appears to be this little mark there at 60, the market ends the distribution and the rapid accumulation begins. So you can see how these red lines, these are the 8 octaves of the circle divided equally. And if you're a musician, you understand that greatly, right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th octave lines up here at 315 degrees of the circle. And that's, again, another death zone on the circle. So, and then, of course, the scale in music has to return back to the beginning again. So I thought I'd show you how that works out, and that somewhere between a period of about, let's just say around 51 to 60 weeks, we could see a lot of the very similar market behavior. So let's go ahead and let's go look at the front again, and let's go examine what we could project. Let's just make this a little bigger too so that we can view it. I know I kept it a little smaller with the square in the way there. So we were postulating that by a certain amount of weeks, we're stating that somewhere near these 51, so the end of September, and September is a historic month in the stock market. There's always a lot of big campaigns that begin and end. And of course the market is very high right now, and it's looking like it's, about to lose a lot of steam and whatnot. But let's get back to this. So there's our 51, and then we stated as far out as, we said 60 weeks until the end of this cycle, which brings us to the end of November. So again, this agrees very strongly with our prognosis for what the market will likely do given the same time attributes. And of course, it's looking an awful lot like that is what has happened in the past. So viewing that, we know that the end of the year, and I sound like a broken record because I keep saying we're in a bear market, and I'm a bad news bears right now because I'm reading the market structure, and the whole time we were moving up to the 17, 18, and 19 month period from the halving event and the 1,060 days, I kept telling you guys over again, and we just use the methods to find it. That's very simply how that has worked. And then of course we've taken the knowledge from all of Gann's work that we've applied here and put it into our Python program so that we can do this much quicker. And if you look at some of the Python programs that I've showed you just a few weeks back, you should go re-look at them and have a look at the numbers that it's produced and the time frames that it's output, because that now takes about 2 minutes for me to do in total. By the time I open the program and run it and whatnot, it produces the results in under 2 minutes. And once the program is up and running, it takes seconds, like literally 10 seconds, and I have a full report. Whereas if I had to do this all by hand, it takes me, well, depending on how much data I have, it can take me 4 to 6 weeks to make a report, a yearly forecast with the price levels and time intervals, and to back test it by hand and look at our cycles, as I've shown you before in our S&P 500 tutorials, how to look back at the cycles and create a yearly forecast. It's fairly straightforward. It's just taking what's happened in the history and bringing it forward so that we can look at the data of what happened in those time cycle periods going back, and then we can make sensible and logical determinations about when the next turn will be and whereabouts it could be mathematically, or its valuation or price in time. So I wanted to share a little bit of that with you today with the 200 moving average, and I feel that the 6 and 8 weeks from the crossing of this is where you would start to see the end of this campaign, and it's looking an awful lot like we're going to get into this 50 period, and we may draw down and just get into the mid 30s before the market takes another turn in the new year of 2027. That's what I have for you guys today. That is our 200 moving average, and if you just go apply this to your weekly chart and do the same thing that we're doing, you're going to find that you can apply this knowledge and find other tops and bottoms based upon history and the past, is what William Gann was stating. So I've just presented this to you in such a way that you can take the movements of the past and apply them to the future. And the past is but a repetition of the future, as the Bible states. And history is something that continues to expand and continues to make a cycle, just like all these orbs here make a cycle. And then our north and our south nodes, they move backwards. And they have an 18-year period. And by the way, we're in for a lot of change because the nodes have, in fact, started to change signs. And that takes about 1.5 years for the nodes to go through one sign of the zodiac. And now the north node is starting to enter into the 29th degree of Aquarius. And it is also my opinion that when Cthulhu, Pluto, which takes 250 years to come around, when it reaches 322 degrees of the circle and these two converge, I think there's going to be a lot of earthly changes that could be possibly problematic. Anyhow, I'm not trying to arouse anyone's fear or suspicions, but the temple is destroyed every 250 years, and Pluto takes 248 to 250 years to come around and do one cycle. And right now it's in an opposition with a lot of planets that have just crossed over, which is notably the Sun, Jupiter, and we have Venus already passed over it, and now Mercury is just passing over and was conjuncted just a few days ago. So a lot of change, and Mars is changing signs right now and is moving towards Jupiter, and also at the end of this year in November, Jupiter will be conjunct Mars, and I think that's going to be a great place to look for a future pickup and a buy in the market. And I'd like you to just pay attention and just stay vigilant. I know it's tough going through these market swings. Back some time ago in, I think it was May, yes it was in May of 2022. I can put the video on there. I think I might have attached it to another video, but I told you that the market was not done and we were in a 12-month bear market, and it was going to be 12, 13, or 14 months. And I was, gently rewarded that our work and the fact that I stayed faithful to the work that I do under William Gann, my guide and teacher, who has taught me all the stuff about the market and how to be careful for these pitfalls, and of course be ready for when to buy again. So this is a great help, not only for me in understanding the markets better, but it would be a great help for you in utilizing the counts and methodologies of William Gann. All right, guys, thank you very much today. Peace and love to y'all. Have a lovely weekend for the rest of it. Peace and love to y'all. Hit me up.